Hi, it's Don. Today's post is titled, Do You Care? If you've been reading my posts, you are aware that I like to do research about what I'm posting. While reading an article, I learned that California now has 148 AVAs. That means American Viticultural Areas. That's confirmed by the TTB, Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. I guess they cut off the A and the T to shorten the acronym. I don't know. Which is still 55% of all AVAs in the United States, with more always on the horizon. Then I started thinking about all the wines out there that are listed solely as California. Simply put, that means that the wine does not have a preponderance of grapes from one particular area. I'm not going to go into percentages at all. I understand the desire for wineries to adopt more and more AVAs as this shrinks the growing area, making it more likely that you can say that this area or that is better and thus deserves, you guessed it, a higher price. We know, after all, that single vineyard wines generally top the price charts, and in many cases, well, they should. What happens when you go in the other direction, identifying your wine as California only? What that might mean to the wine buyers out there. One might assume, yes, I know what assume means, that if the grapes come from different regions, you might also expect to pay a little less for the wine. Logically, many do. I even tried to find out if there were any statistics as to wines designated California versus specific AVAs, but I could not. Maybe with more time, something that's not on my side, I could find that information. As an educated guess on my part, I'd have to say that at least 50% of all wines sold are California designate wines. Just think of all the wines big conglomerates sell, like Gallo and Constellation, Jackson Family, and the Wine Group. Not heard of that last one? You'd know their wines, though. No judgment on the quality of any of the wines produced by these wineries and others. Just pointing out that my estimate might be pretty darn close. For some time now, I have been a believer that you should know where your wine, and thusly grapes, come from, and or if the sourcing has changed for a particular producer or wine. That's the reason for my monthly In Case You Didn't Notice segment, alerting you to mergers or changes within a winery that might then be reflected at some time in the source of grapes for a particular wine or winery. Unfortunately, far too often in those instances, I see changes with the wine that reflect the alternative sourcing of grapes, usually to an area of lesser quality, with rarely any change in pricing. Or if a change, it's in the wrong direction. That means up. There are times when multiple sourcing might just produce an outstanding wine. From my research, those wineries are usually more than happy to tell you where the grapes came from, either on the bottle or on their website. There are those wines that once used to be 100% Napa, and through mergers now have added a percentage of grapes from lesser quality areas to save money, and as I mentioned, to not pass those savings along to consumers. Here's the thing. How many casual drinkers really look at where wine comes from? Or do they even care? If you like a particular wine, that's all that should matter. That's what wineries count on. I'm sort of the worst nightmare. I do care where the wine comes from, even how the wine is produced. All that is reflected in the end result and quality of a wine. It's how I feel that I'm getting my money's worth. Maybe ask yourself at some point, does any of what you read here matter? I'm hoping that while you might not change your buying habits right away, at some point, you might say to yourself, do I care? Cheers.